In the Hunters Guild of Viridia, your rank was your worth, and Kai's badge gleamed with the dull, mocking E of the useless.
E rank, you are a joke. Don't waste my time.
They have no idea what's coming.
Under his sleeve, his fingers touched a faded blue ribbon. The first knot in a scheme no one would ever suspect. Months ago, he had climbed a forgotten mountain, searching for a ghost.
Another brat. Leave this place. I train no one.
I'll die on this mountain before I leave without your teachings.
For 3 days, he knelt in the snow. On the 4th, the master emerged with a strip of blue cloth.
One ribbon. If you ever disgrace my art, I will find you.
He tied it on his arm, eyes burning gold. The world saw an E rank. He saw the first step. Deep in the Whispering Woods, a hidden library held a legend even sharper than Oren's blade.
Who dares disturb my solitude?
A forgotten student. I bring only a will to learn.
Then withstand the weight of arcane truth.
The air thickened with ancient pressure. Kai's knees buckled, but his golden eyes never dimmed.
You have the spine of a true seeker. Very well.
From her sleeve, she drew a violet ribbon, sewn with threads of starlight.
Wear this as proof. If I ever discover another master trained you, your magic will curdle in your veins.
Another weight. Another lie. But the power is worth the risk.
The blue of the sword and the violet of magic rested side by side on his arm. Only the first steps of 7. In a sacred clearing where the wind never lied, Kai found the third ghost, Master Hayate, the Silent Gale.
You walk like a swordsman, but your eyes seek something else. Speak.
I seek the archer who can thread lightning through a raindrop. I want to learn that.
Then hit the target behind you without turning. If you fail, leave and never return.
Kai breathed, listened to the wind, and loosed. The arrow kissed the center before his exhale finished.
You listen. That is rare. But archery is not just skill. It is a pact with silence.
From his quiver, Hayate pulled a green ribbon, the color of deep pine, and held it out.
Break this trust, and my arrow will find you across the continent.
3 ribbons. 3 masters who each believe I belong to them alone. The web tightens.
3 legends now shared one silent student, and the world below still called him worthless. 5 years passed. On the peak of Mount Neverthaw, Kai stood before his final legend, Master Mara, the Unbroken.
You have endured blizzards and silence. Few last a week with me. Take the crimson ribbon.
From her weather-beaten hand, she offered a strip of crimson, frayed by decades of her own unyielding training. He bound it to his arm, completing the silent rainbow of secret oaths. 7 ribbons, 7 masters.
Blue, violet, green, gray, silver, black, and now red. 7 legends, 7 lies. But the power is real.
His golden eyes simmered with a strength no E-rank badge could measure. It was time to step out of the shadows, the grand tournament of Viridia, where the strong were crowned and the weak forgotten, was his only stage.
You again, E rank. You'll be obliterated in the first round.
They'll see. They'll all see what 7 masters forged in secret.
With 7 ribbons bound tight under his sleeve, Kai walked into the Colosseum. The ghosts of his masters followed unseen. The Colosseum thrummed with bloodlust. Dren, a scarred B rank, sneered at Kai's E rank badge as if it were a stain.
E rank? Did you wander into the wrong competition? I'll end this in one swing.
5 years, 7 masters. Let him swing.
Fighters, ready. Begin.
In the space of a breath, Kai flowed forward. A single perfect arcing slash from Master Oren's first lesson.
What? The match is over. Kai, the E rank, has won in 3 seconds.
That stance, that was no amateur. A forgotten form. I've seen it in old manuscripts.
1 ribbon down. 6 more to reveal. But not yet.
In the stands, a young woman named Mika narrowed her eyes. She recognized the ghost of a legend. The tournament had its first shock, and Kai's masters, scattered unseen, each felt an unsettling tremor of familiarity. Kay's second opponent, charged with twin axes, a whirlwind of death. Kai simply raised a hand. A shimmering violet barrier erupted. A perfect arcane wall. Lyra's fourth ward glowed before him.
A barrier. That's high-level magic, from an E rank.
That barrier. That's not my teaching. Whose art is this?
First, the sword, now magic. He's not just a lucky E rank. He's been trained by someone or multiple someones.
After his victory, Kai slipped through the competitor tunnels. Mika followed, but his trail evaporated like mist.
He knows how to vanish, just like the old legends. Who are you, Kai?
Far across the Colosseum, Master Orin rose from his seat, his old eyes narrowing. That barrier had a familiar signature.
2 ribbons shone. The masters are probably stirring. The risk is climbing.
And in the shadows of the stands, other aged legends stirred. The threads of a 40-year-old secret began to pull taut. An ethereal bow materialized in Kai's grip. He knocked an arrow of wind and let it fly.
That stance, that release, it's my silent gale.
Then Kai caught a thrusting spear on his forearm. The impact shattered the weapon, leaving his opponent reeling.
That's Boris's immovable wall. He never taught a student, unless...
Kai's third flawless victory. As he entered the corridor, Mika stepped from the shadows.
You are not just some E rank. Those forms, you've been trained by legends.
I don't know what you mean. I just train hard.
He's lying. I'll find out what he's hiding.
She let him walk, but her eyes never left his back. Tonight she'd follow him. In distant sections of the Colosseum, Lyra and Hayate alike felt a tremor. This boy was not solely theirs. Kai's next opponent wielded a spear with intricate patterns. Kai answered with a deception cascade, Sarah's hallmark.
That faint sequence. Impossible. I taught that only once, 40 years ago.
Then Kai erupted into a blur. His footwork left after images. Kale's gale steps made mortal.
No one has matched that speed since my prime. That boy is not ours alone.
A crushing mace descended. Kai absorbed it through a stance that screamed of Boris's immovable mountain.
That's my foundation, unless he sought me out. But what else has he learned?
In separate sections, the masters rose. Sarah reached the aisle first, scanning for old comrades. Boris descended a tier. Lyra's silver hair passed a column inches from him, unseen yet electric.
Another impossible victory. The E rank Kai advances yet again.
7 legends now filled the Colosseum. Their eyes glowed with suspicion. A 40-year-old wound was about to tear open. In a torchlit corridor, 3 masters collided. Orin's wooden sword clashed against Lyra's staff, Hayate's bow across the path.
Lyra, that barrier, it was yours. He trained under both of us?
And he claimed to be my only student, the little deceiver.
He also knows my silent gale. 3 of us. He lied to everyone.
The sound drew the others. Boris, Sarah, Kael, Mara, all emerged from the dark, faces hardening.
You too? He used my immovable mountain. This is betrayal.
My faint cascade. He played us all like pawns on a board.
Add my steps. He's been hoarding our legacies for years.
The crimson ribbon. He bound our trust in silk and spit on it.
They found him outside the quarterfinal tunnel, his arms striped with 7 colors. Explain yourself.
I trained under all of you. I lied to each, claiming I was his only student. It was the only way.
You dare admit it without a shred of remorse. You used us like tools.
Our pride was your scheme. You played the board, and we were the pieces.
For 5 years, you bled our secrets and gave nothing but deception.
Kai stood motionless, the ribbon colors on his arm bright against the torchlight. He had known this explosion would come. Then, From the darkness beyond the Masters, a young woman's voice sliced through the anger.
You are all wrong. Let me tell you about the 8th Master.
8th? There was no 8th in our generation. That's a lie.
My grandfather was the 8th. Your own history erased him.
The Masters froze. The name they'd buried for 40 years was clawing back into the light. Mika told them of the legendary generation. 8 Masters bound by oath, shattered by a lie of betrayal.
A rival told us Zephyr sold our secrets, and we believed it for 40 years.
My grandfather was exiled, broken. I found Kai's trail and hoped he could end the silence.
I knew. I read the old records, so I sought each of you to force this moment.
Orin staggered back. 40 years of misplaced fury crumbled in his chest.
You orchestrated this to heal a wound you never caused?
The grudge was rotting you. I lied, but the legacy deserves unity.
The schemer who framed my grandfather died decades ago. You held onto ashes.
Tears rimmed Mara's stony eyes. Sarah stared at her trembling hands. The 8th Master was still absent, but the 7, for the first time in 40 years, saw each other.
We can't just talk. You need to see him.
From the shadow he gestured toward. A figure slowly emerged, frail, leaning on a carved staff, yet radiating quiet authority. Grand Master Zephyr. The ghost they had accused, exiled, and erased for 4 decades.
Zephyr, it's really you. After all this time.
Orin, Lyra, all of you. I hold no anger. The true enemy died years ago. Let the past die.
The words hung in the air. Orin's hand covered his eyes. Lyra's staff clattered to the stone.
We broke our oath on a lie. I am sorry, Zephyr.
40 years of emptiness because we couldn't face the truth.
Mika rushed forward, burying her face in her grandfather's robe. The corridor echoed with stifled sobs. For the first time in 40 years, the legendary generation stood together. But the wounds were deep, and the road ahead, still veiled. Zephyr's voice was steady, though his hands trembled. He named the rival who had planted false evidence 40 years ago.
He wanted my seat on the council, so he made you believe I sold our techniques to the enemy. I never did.
A murmur of anguish passed through the Masters. But then Sarah's sharp voice cut the silence.
And you, Orin. You were his closest friend. How could you not have questioned it?
I wanted to believe, but my pride made me deaf. I failed him. I failed us all.
Enough. Are you going to keep holding onto a grudge that was never real?
Silence crashed down. All eyes turned to the young man whose 7 ribbons now seemed like a verdict.
I trained under all of you to prove that your legacies can coexist. The 7 arts already live in me. The grudge is the lie.
Mara's hand trembled over her heart. Hayate's bow dipped. The pride that had festered for decades began to crack, but the road to unity was not yet paved. Words could not erase 40 years of isolation overnight.
Zephyr, I turned my back on you when you needed me most. 40 years of silence were my cowardice.
I let pride silence my heart. I could have sought the truth, but I chose solitude.
One by one, the others added their voices, a cascade of repentance that filled the stone corridor with a raw, unpracticed honesty.
We lost 40 years because we refused to question a lie. That shame is ours. Shame shared can become strength. I forgave you long before this night. Now you must forgive yourselves.
Mika clung to her grandfather, her shoulders trembling. The embrace held decades of stolen warmth. Kai stood apart, watching. Zephyr's gaze drifted to the 7 ribbons tied along his arm, a silent echo of the oaths that once bound them.
Those ribbons. You carry our scattered souls on your skin, young one.
I wove them in secret, but I wear them as gratitude. You all built me.
The 8 Masters stood together once more, not as a fractured legend, but as a wounded family beginning to heal. Ahead, the question of what they would become hung unanswered.
We were the legendary generation, yet our arts remained separate. What if they were one school?
Combine them. Each art is a lifetime's work. They would clash.
Our pride is a fortress. Zephyr, even now I fear losing what defines me.
You already taught me. I've proven your styles can merge. Let me be the proof.
He flowed into a seamless dance, sword arc into magic shield, bow draw mid-step, defensive stance absorbing his own feints, all 8 arts woven into one living motion.
He moves with my ward while drawing Hayate's bow. Impossible.
And Boris's foundation beneath it all. No seams, no conflict.
Kai stopped, breathing, controlled, the ghosts of 8 masters hanging in the air around him.
You are the proof we never knew we needed. Now we must decide. Will we remain scattered or become something greater?
Silence gave way to murmurs of agreement. For the first time, the 8 masters truly discussed a single school built on their combined legacy. In a chamber hushed and solemn, the 8 legends stood as one for the first time.
We dissolve our separate paths. From this moment, we are the school of octagonals.
And its first head shall be the one who forged our arts into a single blade.
All eyes fell on Kai, the weight of a generation's legacy settling on his shoulders.
Kai, you deceived us, but you also reunited us. Will you bear our legacy as its successor?
I will. Not for power, because your arts deserve to live as one.
One by one, each master stepped forward, a colored thread from their own ribbon in hand, and wove them into a single white band. Oren's blue, Lyra's violet, Hayate's green, Boris's gray, Sarah's silver, Kale's black, Mara's crimson, all blended into pure white. Zephyr added a thread of his own, turning the ribbon luminous ivory and tied it over the 7. The world outside still saw an E rank, but here, in the heart of legend, Kai was named the first head of the School of Octagonals. The Colosseum roared. Arik the Storm, S rank champion, towered over Kai like a mountain of muscle and steel.
An E rank? You got lucky in the earlier rounds. Now you face a real hunter.
Real power isn't defined by rank. Let the 8 arts speak.
Kai flowed. Sword arc from Oren, barrier from Lyra, arrow from Hayate, all in a single breath. Eric's attacks shattered against Boris's stance, dodged by Kale's steps.
He's not just using my art. He's elevating it.
Every style is a note, and he plays a symphony.
Kai's feint cascade from Sarah left Eric stumbling. Then Mara's endurance absorbed the counterattack. The champion was overwhelmed. A final. United strike, a white flash, sent Eric crashing to the ground. The arena fell silent.
Victory! Kai, the E rank, is the Grand Tournament champion.
In the stands, 8 legends stood. Kai touched the white ribbon on his arm. The world didn't know yet, but a new era had begun. A hush fell. As guild clerk Elara strode onto the sand, a gleaming Finn French rank badge in her hand.
Kai, your performance defies all records. By order of the Hunters Guild, you are no longer E rank. You are S rank.
The badge changed, but the journey was never about the letter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kai is not just the champion. He is the first head of the newly formed School of Octagonals, built by the 8 legendary masters themselves.
The crowd's roar shook the stone. Then, from the stands, 8 figures began to descend. Oren, Lyra, Hayate, Boris, Sarah, Kael, Mara, and Zephyr. They stepped onto the arena sand together.
40 years of silence, ended by one student's stubborn dream.
They stood behind Kai, a circle of weathered legends, acknowledging the world's gaze.
This school isn't mine, it's ours. And it's only the beginning.
He raised his arm, the white ribbon blazing, and the Colosseum erupted in cheers that would echo through history. In the days that followed, Kai's image flooded the Hunters Guild halls. No longer an E rank footnote, but an S-rank legend. The 8 Masters, once scattered by pride, now gathered daily to train the new wave of students. Orin corrected stances, Lyra lit arcane circles. Hayate guided arrows in the same clearing where Kai first found him. Boris stood immovable against a dozen charges. Syrah orchestrated mock battles. Kale blurred through obstacle courses. Mara led endurance treks at dawn. Zephyr, frail yet regal, watched the first class of octagonal students, his 40 years of exile, finally redeemed.
You found them all, Kai, and you gave them back to each other.
But it wasn't just me. It was the lie that held them, and the truth they chose.
The world adjusted to the new power structure, the school of octagonals attracting hunters from every rank, and at its center, a young man with a white ribbon reminded everyone that legends could be surpassed. The era of the octagonals had quietly, irrevocably begun. On a quiet evening, Kai stood alone on the hill overlooking the school of octagonals, the white ribbon still on his arm. One by one, the 8 masters climbed the slope, their shadows stretching long in the fading light.
You surpassed us all, Kai. Every technique, every philosophy, you made them greater.
Only because you all taught me to. Each ribbon you gave is a voice that never left me.
Orin stepped forward, his weathered hand resting on Kai's shoulder. The stern warrior's eyes were wet.
No, Kai. You taught us something far harder, to forgive ourselves.
Lyra nodded, a tear tracing her wrinkled cheek. Hayate lowered his bow in salute.
40 years of pride, dissolved by one stubborn student's heart.
The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in the colors of their ribbons. Blue, violet, green, gray, silver, black, crimson, and a thread of ivory.
Your legacy will never be separated again. I promise, with every student I teach.
Kai looked down at the white ribbon woven from 8 colors. It pulsed softly, as if alive with their trust. The camera pulled back, slowly revealing the 8 masters standing behind him on the hilltop. Warren's hand still rested on Kai's shoulder. Lyra's staff glinted. Hayate's bow was at rest. Boris stood like a fortress. Sarah's sharp eyes softened. Kale was still for the first time. Mara's stoic face held peace. Zephyr stood at the center back, leaning on his staff, his eyes full of quiet triumph.
This is just the beginning.
The ribbon on his arm glowed, a single thread binding 8 souls to one promise. The golden hour light bathed them all. A moment outside of time suspended in grace. The E rank who trained in secret had become the bridge between eras, and the octagonal stood ready to write the next chapter. As dusk deepened, Kai remained on the hill, the first stars peeking through the fading colors. Mika climbed the slope, her footsteps soft on the grass. She paused a few paces away.
Mika.
You are still here? I thought you'd be celebrating with the others.
I needed a moment, but I am glad you came.
Their eyes met. No words needed to carry 5 years of secret trails and a lifetime of healed wounds.
Thank you, Mika, for finding me, for trusting that I could end their silence.
You found yourself, Kai. I just followed the trail you left.
The last light of the sun slipped below the horizon, and the white ribbon on his arm flickered. One final time before resting. In the quiet, the world felt whole.